Nearly every ancient civilization has some sort of art depicting giant reptilian creatures that look like what we would call dinosaurs. The Romans, the Mayans, and the Babylonians all had drawings of giant dinosaur-like creatures they had evidently seen or had been told about. So what we call dinosaurs were created by God and existed for a time, but what happened to them? Assuming they were still alive at the time of Noah's flood, 2 of each kind of dinosaur would have been led onto the ark. By the way, for the Romans, the Mayans, and the Babylonians to have seen them, they would have had to have survived the flood. By necessity, the very large kinds would have had to have been loaded on the ark as juveniles, even despite the huge size of the ark. The smaller kinds of dinosaurs would easily fit on the ark. Since there are no large dinosaurs around today, we can conclude that they became extinct either due to environmental conditions or perhaps more likely due to man's hunting of them. Large blue whales would most likely be extinct were it not for the laws that were passed to protect them. The same would be true for buffalo and elephants. In a fallen world where sin reigns, there is no law that says species and kinds must continue to be. There is enough fossil evidence to conclude that large dinosaurs existed. Conclusions on dinosaurs. God made them for His glory, the same purpose for which every other living thing was made. They are not present today, so they must have become extinct. Genesis 1:26, then God said, "Let us make man in our image according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in His own image. In the image of God created He him, male and female. He created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." Let us make man in our image. Do you suppose there was a divine conversation around the risk and reward of creating something in the image of God? A creature that could reason, rationalize, and make moral choices. What would that mean for the time and space occupied by the rest of creation? History and the Bible inform us that foreseeing the risk and the reward, God planned for the inevitable and created a man who could sin, but not a man so powerful that he could completely thwart the plans of God. God formed man out of the dust of the ground. So why is man above the animal when they were both formed out of the ground? Because in Genesis 2:7 we read, He breathed the breath of life into the man's nostrils, and the man became a living person, or a living soul in the King James Version. Man becomes the first living thing with a soul, and is the only living thing that is self-conscious. So what does it mean to be self-conscious? To be self-conscious, we are aware of our presence morally, spiritually, and environmentally. Another way to say this is that we know that we exist. To be self-conscious, we think about our existence, we contemplate our future existence, and we think about things like cause and effect. To be self-conscious, we also have a sense that our existence matters and that what we do in life has at least an echo in eternity. To be self-conscious, we, mankind, can appreciate beauty in art. How things look matters to us. Making improvements or changes to our world matters to us. To be self-conscious, we can think abstractly, and we ponder the morality of our actions, especially when we sin. It should not take us by surprise that we have qualities and properties about us that are unique, because we are the only creature made in the image of God. Images are created for the sole purpose of imaging, to show off the one from whom the image originates. We should celebrate the one whose image it is that we bear, and perhaps more importantly, we should seek to be people who show God to the world. Think about a mirror. When we look in a mirror, what do we see? You see an image of yourself, an exact image of yourself that is an exact likeness of who you are. The image you see is not you, but wow, does it look like you? That's what God had in mind when He made us, beings who would reflect His glory in this world, an exact likeness of Him. Man reflects the Lord and therefore is not the Lord. We are creatures, and consequently we are dependent, finite, and derived. But we do occupy a sacred space in creation because nothing else was made in the Creator's image. Points to ponder. Nearly every ancient civilization has some sort of art depicting giant reptilian creatures that look like what we would call dinosaurs. The smaller kinds of dinosaurs would easily fit on the ark. They are not present today, so they must have become extinct. This class, and indeed the entire school, is dedicated to helping others see that God is bigger than we think and better than we know. To get to the next video, make a note of the class number for this recording, then search for the next one. Here is a sample. If this video is number L01.1, then the next one is L01.2. And remember to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow on Rumble.